podcast. I'm Dr. Rhoberta Shaler, and I'm so glad that you're joining me. Tonight, we're going to talk about a topic that comes up frequently. People check with me to say, am I really seeing what I think I'm seeing in the eyes of somebody? And those somebodies are usually hijackals. That's my term for those people who like to control you, that are toxic and create toxic relationships, those people that like to use you. And definitely, there is a definition of a hijackal, which is a person who hijacks a relationship for their own purposes and needs and then relentlessly scavenges it for that power, status, and control. So, one of the ways that we first see people is we focus on their faces. And that's generally known in the research that that's what we search for. And that's the thing that we hone in on. So we don't take in the whole person as much as we take in their faces. So we're very sensitive to what is going on and reading a face. That's important, and we want to get better at it. Because the more that we experience a relationship that's not working, the more insights and tools and skills we need in order to recognize what's really happening. So, this evening, I wanted to help you with looking at what that really is with the hijackal, and that we could learn to be reading those signs better, um, because um, those eyes tell a whole story, and we need to be able to see that. Definitely see that. So that is the focus tonight, reading the shifting, scary eyes of a hijackal. And if you're enjoying what you learn here, know that there are over 500 episodes between my two podcasts. You can find those at saveyourSanityPodcast.com. And if you're enjoying being here and you would like to support the work, I really invite you to do that. Go to patreon.com/saveyoursanity. You can give a one-time donation or a small monthly donation to support the work. And if you find value here, that's a great way to show us. So that's at patreon.com/saveyoursanity. So, reading the shifting, scary eyes of a hijackal. Now, I chose those words really carefully, shifting and scary, because as you tune in, you see how the eyes change. And you see the intention seem to change. The way they look at you change. The way they respond to you change. So I wanted to really go deeply into a few of the ways that we can recognize these hijackal eyes, or the narcissist eyes, or the psychopath's eyes. Now, remember, I make a clear distinction. Most people are not mental health professionals as I am. So we're not doing any diagnostics here. None of you are probably equipped and educated and in order to make a diagnosis. So we don't call people narcissists or psychopaths or hijack or antisocials or use any of those clinical terms, which is why I developed the term hijackals. So we could talk about the behaviors, patterns, cycles without doing a mental health clinical assessment, which most people are not equipped to do. So we just say people have narcissistic tendencies or toxic tendencies or are high conflict people, because you don't need a label. Now, some people have said to me, well, isn't hijackal a label? Yes, if you want to get really picky, I suppose it is, but it gives us a way to just talk about it. Hijackal behavior, hijackal traits, so that we can realize that we are in relationship with a hijackal. Therefore, something is going on within us that also is part of that relationship, and we want to address that. So the eyes have it tonight. The eyes tell a big story. And when you're first attracted to these people, they have that, we call them bedroom eyes or come hither eyes, or, let me draw you into my web. Those kind of eyes, the charming, inquisitive, engaging eyes. Now, those are usually attractive. We're usually quite happy to see those, except if we've been sexually abused. But there are many more ways in which hijackals change their eyes to allow you to know and have a little insight into what they're thinking. So, what did you see when you first saw the hijackal? Did you see those engaging, twinkling, come my way eyes? Did you see intense eyes looking deeply into you? Or did you see something different? And did you pay attention to what you were seeing? Or were you simply just engaged and flattered and enjoying the moment, which makes absolute sense? Don't ever beat yourself up for being attracted to a hijackal. You don't know. You don't know what you're getting because their entire game up front is to love bomb you, to make you feel that they are the best thing since sliced bread, and so are you, and you're perfect for each other. You know, I've said it before. You're going to run into times when somebody says to you, "Oh, I know I don't know you, but I know I'm going to love you and we're going to get married and we're going to live together forever." Anybody says that to you, be flattered and say, "Well, let's give it a year and see." I know that's hard to do and you don't want to do it, but of course, one of the ploys of a hijackal is to sweep you off your feet and get you engaged with them as quickly as possible. And that may even mean a ring on your finger, but it may mean live with me, marry me, move in with me, let's have a baby, let's build a business, let's move to the countryside and plant geraniums, but let's do it together. And it all sounds romantic, it all sounds wonderful. You're not thinking, "Oh, they want to go to the country and plant geraniums. They're trying to isolate me, marginalize me, have power over me, and I'll get out there and I'll have no transportation." You're not thinking that. You're thinking, "Oh, isn't that lovely? Oh, what a romantic notion. I feel so special." And we have to become very, very able to calibrate what's going on. We have to keep our feet firmly on the ground, even when we do want to just let ourselves levitate a little bit in love. So let's talk about eyes. Not only is it important to what did you see when you looked at the hijackal, but what did the hijackal want you to see? They don't want you to see the manipulative part, the deceitful part, the controlling part, the power over you part. They want you to see the, "Oh, isn't this fun? Isn't this wonderful? Look what I can offer you" part. And then you know that the hijackals are always watching you. They're always watching you. They may not always be in your presence, but they're watching you. They may blow up your phone. That's a way of watching you. They may make lots of inquiries as to where you were, a way of watching you. They have many ways. So their eyes tell a big story. One of the things that you see, and you see it in all people, so I'll just gloss over it quickly, is the rage eyes. When that happens, you know, our eyes narrow, the focus becomes very clear. We lose peripheral vision, and it's just, you are the subject, the object of my rage, and it narrows in and focuses on you. It's a very scary thing because you can feel that piercing glance and you know, you may not realize that their peripheral vision has shortened, but that's giving you that feeling of being seen right into and over and through. And so the rage eyes, I think we're all quite familiar with because we've seen it in other people. We've seen angry eyes, which are different than rage eyes. Angry eyes are just, "I'm not happy with you," or "I'm not happy at a situation." But we don't get the rage. We don't get the narrowing that we get in rage. So it's important to have some distinctions here. So rage eyes, I think we can all recognize, but if you catch a hijackal unawares, or if you really start observing them, which I hope you will do, you're going to see these differences in their the way that their eyes convey a message. And it is important to notice because they don't have a lot of control over this. And so it gives you an insight into what's going on. So the first kind of eyes, aside from rage eyes, that is important to notice are vacant eyes. It is sort of that look of there's nobody home, just, gone. I'm unavailable. I've gone internal. I'm not here. I'm invisible, and you are definitely invisible. So that very blank stare, they're not particularly focused on anything. It's just like they're gone. Poof, they're gone. Are you familiar with that? The kind of vacant eyes, like I can't be bothered to be here. I have withdrawn all my energy from you and from this situation. And I have no feelings at all. And we're going to talk about how the vacant eyes turn into the psychopathic stare a little later. But this vacant eyes thing, like there's nobody there, and you're trying to get their attention. You're trying to get them to see you, and they will not. They're just simply nobody home. Now, that's a bit of a ploy because if you try to engage them, which is what they want, they are going to ignore you more or then return it with rage. But one of the things that sets hijackals apart is this complete cold blank stare that just gone. And that's a way of withdrawing by being present. So if you have seen that vacant stare, those cold eyes, there, I'm unavailable and I don't care. I don't even see you. You're invisible. That's a hallmark of a hijackal. That's what you're going to see. But you may also have seen what are kind of dead eyes. Dead, dark eyes. They're cold, they're harsh, they're kind of flat, and it's an intimidating look. It's an intimidating, controlling look. Just, I'm sure I can't do it, but you've probably seen it. That cold, harsh, dark, oh, all of a sudden there is this person. I thought I loved them. I thought they loved me. I thought I knew them. And now all of a sudden there is this dead eye look. And they're almost reptilian eyes, very cold. And it comes from having little to no empathy, so little to no feeling behind the eyes. They're not engaging with you. They're not empathizing with you. They're not sympathizing with you. They're not interested in you. And you're taking up their precious time. You're taking up their precious energy. And they do not want to be bothered with you. So we get the no feelings, no remorse, just let me stare you down, dead eyes. All they want you to do at that moment is submit. Give me power over you, or I'm going to take it. And that is the dead eyes approach. And that is really hard to handle, right? Because here you are in a relationship that you got into because you were hooked on hope that this person loved you and you were going to create this wonderful world together. And you were hooked on who you met in the beginning, who was just a mask, just a chameleon pretending to be all those wonderful things. But you were stuck on, if I just do things right, that person that I felt loved me, that person I initially met will magically reappear. No, that's not happening. That was a mask. Who they're showing you with their vacant eyes or their dead eyes is the real person. And I know you don't want to believe that because it means, wasn't all that wonderful stuff true? Well, actually, it wasn't, but it was wonderful stuff. But now they're showing you who they really are, even with the ways they use their eyes. So you know what I mean by, say, reptilian eyes. They're just darting, cold, nothing behind there, kind of dead. And so they just want you to submit. And that's when you see the real hijackal in those dead, cold, dark eyes. You familiar with that? Have you seen someone just immediately go dark and cold in front of you? You know, they may have been saying all kinds of loving things, engaging you in great conversation, talking about plans, basically future faking if it's a hijackal. If you don't know what future faking is, just go to saveyourSanityPodcast.com, find the little magnifying glass and put in future faking. I did a whole episode on it. They're trying to engage you in a possible future, in a possible love, in a possible deep relationship, the one you very much want. They will never deliver it for anything more than a hot minute when they're afraid that they're going to lose you or you're going to discard them. But it is important to start seeing what is in front of you, not what you wish would come back, because that wasn't real. I know it's sad. It's sad to think that you met this wonderful person, male or female, because there are as many hijackals who are male as female. They just present a little differently. And you had all this joy, all this optimism, all of this wonderful idea of what your future would look like. And then you find that it's not real. They're not real. All of that front up stuff, all of that love bombing, all of that, come hither and we're going to have a wonderful life together. I don't know you, but I love you already, was just a come on. Something to lure you in. And as I say in my book, Escaping the Hijackal Trap, there's a whole chapter called the gotcha factor. Once they gotcha, then you start seeing these things for what they are. And I'm inviting you in this episode to see things for what they are right now, by giving you these insights into the look in their eyes. So we talked about rage eyes and vacant eyes and dead eyes. And these things are telltale signs of hijackals. You may not want to hear this because you really want to believe that you didn't make a mistake, that this person is who you thought they were. And I totally understand that. None of us want to fall in love and find that who we fell in love with was really somebody else. I understand that completely. But now you're there. Maybe it's your parent. Maybe it's not even someone you fell in love with. I come from a hijackal family. I could watch my mother's eyes go cold. I could watch her just turn away. I could watch her be angry at other people and turn that anger onto me. It was very apparent by the look on her face, and particularly the look in her eyes. So rage eyes, vacant eyes, dead eyes, and now let's talk about black eyes. And really that's dark irises. The irises go very, very, very dark. And the angrier they get, the more likely you're going to see this, that you're going to see that happen, that the eyes go cold and dark. And it feels like they've gone black. And it's intended to make you feel intimidated and afraid. The whole intention is just like an animal going to stare down and frighten you with their gaze. This is the same thing that the hijackal does when they turn on the black eyes. And it's a vengeful look, like, I'm going to get you. I'm going to nail you to the wall. I am going to make you small, make you recede, make you contract and take power over you. And when you first meet these people, it's kind of something that runs across their face. You kind of catch it and you think, oh no, I didn't really see that. Maybe it's cold, maybe a little chilling. And then they catch themselves and all of a sudden it goes away. But it gets worse. The deeper the relationship, the longer the relationship, the less they cover up who they really are and how they really feel and what they're really thinking and what they really want. And so you're going to see these things more frequently. So this black eyes is going to get more frequent and become more intense, and that vengeful look is also going to turn into revenge, and then the cycle starts to churn. Do you know what I'm talking about? I bet you do, if you've had a hijackal parent or partner or a sibling or maybe an adult child. I've had many people in my practice who have had their children marry hijackals, and then they have experienced that for the first time. And if that has happened to you and you want to talk to me about it, it's really simple. I offer a new client full hour consultation, one time only for new clients for only $97. You can go to beaclient.com. Beaclient.com. Very simple. We'll talk. I can answer your questions and help you see what's really going on in your relationship. And if you want to join my emerging empowered community, then have lots of interaction with other people as well as with myself, including 2 Ask Me Anything group calls every month as part of your membership. Go to joinintoday.com. Joinintoday.com. So if you are understanding these black eyes and you see them too frequently, then it is a telltale sign that that person wants to intimidate you, wants to back you off, back you up, wants to get you on the run, wants to make you cower, wants to make you afraid. All in the eyes. All in the eyes. Now, the last one is a predatory stare. A predatory stare. And you might make this out to be intense interest in the beginning. You know, they're really into you and they lean in, and it can be that in the beginning. They're really focusing on you. And so you think they're intensely interested in you, but it's in the wrong way. They are intensely interested in you, but it's for the wrong reasons. So this predatory stare, kind of long, evaluating looks, you know, you might think of them as, oh, look, he's engaging. He can't take his eyes off me. She can't stop looking at me. However you interpret that, because that has positive connotations, right? There's songs about that. But when it starts to happen over and over, and the coldness starts to set in and the assessment starts to set in, they're not evaluating you for how wonderful you are. They're evaluating for you for, what can I get out of this person? How can I get them to adore and validate me? How can I get them to do my bidding? They're assessing you in that way. And often it's accompanied by that thing that I call the hijackal smirk. That look of kind of one side of the mouth turned up. It's kind of a gotcha look. I'm smarter than you. I'm the smartest person in the room. I'm sure that you know the hijackal smirk. And when it comes together with the predatory stare, really intense, really difficult to see. And again, it is piercing and intended to intimidate you, but intended to stare you down and pin you to the wall. And it's kind of laser focused, and it's almost as though they would like to crush you with their eyes and make you do their bidding. You familiar with that? Because that's a big one to see. These things are real. You're not imagining them. That's why I wanted to affirm that for you in this episode, because you might think, oh, I'm just reading them incorrectly. But when you start to see all of these things I'm talking about tonight, know that you're not reading it incorrectly. It's real. You're not imagining it. It's real. And the thing with the predatory stare is that they're not aware they're doing it. It just happens. They just go into that mode, but then they become aware they're doing it. And you may have seen this phenomenon. They all of a sudden become aware they're doing it, and you get a little bit frightened, and they start to realize what they're doing, and it dissolves into a warm smile. And then you get confused. Then you start second guessing yourself. Oh, well, maybe they weren't angry. Oh, maybe that wasn't mean. Maybe that wasn't intended to hurt me. Maybe I've got it all wrong. So you start to second guess yourself and second guess yourself. And if you yourself have been experiencing trauma in anywhere in your life, you may be even more likely to go the extra mile to justify and rationalize their behavior. So when they catch themselves and they turn off that predatory stare and they turn it into a smile, and then they kind of lean in with their eyes. Very confusing. So they soften at that moment, and they don't want you to be afraid because they realize that they have just sort of shown you something about themselves, and they want to cover that up right away. So we get this softening and this smile. I hope you know what I'm talking about. And on the other hand, I really hope you don't, that you haven't seen it and it is not something that's happening in your life. But if you're listening to Save Your Sanity, it's probably because you have seen these things. And in that case, I want to validate the fact that these are real. They really do happen. There's lots of research about them, lots of anecdotal and straightforward academic research that the physiognomy, the changes in the face actually occur. There's also very interesting research on eyebrows. Predatory people have a different use of their eyebrows, a different intensity, but we're talking about the eyes tonight. But all of that matters. It really matters. So when I said earlier that I was talking about dead eyes, and I said that we were going to talk about that vacant eye, dead eye phenomenon is related to psychopathic stares. Well, it really does, because it is that predatory piece. And if you go that far to find someone with psychopathic tendencies, that includes all psychopaths are narcissistic. So that includes narcissism, but it goes a very, very deep and dark step beyond that. Know that those people have no feelings of fear. So that's what you sense when you're around a person who's wired like that. They have no fear, so they don't care how you're feeling. Now, that's a step beyond all the things that I've said tonight, but I just want you to know, if you see someone so chilling, so cold, and they do not change their face, they just get more intense, that may be happening. And an interesting phenomenon about that, because they have no feelings, they don't actually follow the fight or flight mechanism. So when people who are not psychopathic come into a situation where there's fear to be induced, then most of us, our pupils dilate. But for people with psychopathic tendencies, they have no fear, so they don't feel the fight or flight mechanism. It isn't autonomic to them. So their eyes just stay black and cold, but they don't dilate, they don't get bigger. And so that's an important thing to know. Robert Hare was one of the most important writers, is one of the most important writers about the research on psychopaths. And he said this: it's in their eyes that are the most remarkable feature, how they drill into you. How they drill into you. Have you ever said that about the person you're thinking of, that their eyes drill into you? Must be a hijackal. That's the way it rolls. So important to see. And when a hijackal looks into your eyes, all they want to see is themselves. That's what narcissism is all about. A hijackal only wants to see themselves reflected in your eyes. They want them to be reflected as attractive and successful and popular and in control and in demand. And you want them, and you want to impress them, and you want them to want you. And they only see what they want to see, and they want to see themselves reflected in your eyes, because it's all about them. They don't care to see you. I know that's sad, but they don't care about seeing you. They want you to see them and give them what they want. They want that validation and adoration. So if you have a thought or a feeling or a need or a want or a challenge, or you disagree with them, their eyes change because you're not reflecting the joy and wonder of them back to them. You're suggesting something else, and that's why that angers them. So important to know and see that, because that's all they want. But you know that after you've been with a hijackal for a while, even if you're constantly telling them how wonderful they are, it's not enough. They want more. And that becomes very, very difficult. So all they want to see in your eyes is adoration of them and a little bit of fear of them. Some of them want a whole lot of fear of them. Do I have you where I want you? Do I have you backed against the wall? Are you afraid of me? Are you afraid of what I'll do or say? That's exactly where they want you. Do you ever have that feeling? They're doing it on purpose? They are. They're not doing it on purpose as consciously at that moment as you might think, because they are so driven by what they want, what they need, and how you're not giving it to them. And then you start to see the rage eyes and the vacant eyes and the dark, dead eyes. And then, on the other hand, and in conjunction with the predatory stare, all these things can be happening. So, how does knowing this help you? Well, first of all, when you see these things, I hope that it validates your experience. That's what it feels like. And yes, that's a real thing. So, that's the number one reason I wanted to talk with you about that, because you may think you're imagining it, or you may think it's only you. No, it's not about you at all. It's about them. And one major thing that everybody, I hope, learns is whatever the hijackal says about you is not true. It's their projection of what they're afraid is true of them, or their need to find fault with you, to shift the blame from themselves to you, to make you feel small, to make you feel insignificant, to make you feel less than, to make you feel not good enough, so they can have control over you. And it has nothing to do with who you are. It has everything to do with who they are. Now, how you respond has things to do with you. But what they're saying often has nothing to do with you. Most likely has nothing to do with you. So it's a warning sign when you see those things. It's a warning sign, maybe not to engage further, not to enrage them, maybe to step away, maybe to be distracted, maybe to have to go somewhere, anything to take the intensity down a few notches. Now, don't feel like you're giving in and giving up at that point. Once you start to see those eyes come out, it's too late for logic and reason. Did you hear me? It's too late then for logic and reason. They have already gone somewhere in their head and are making up their story about you. And usually that story is, you do not adore me enough. You do not approve of me enough. You do not validate me enough. You are not good enough for me. You are just not enough. And they're very happy to tell you that, and it isn't true. But to get control and power over you, they want you to believe them. So take it as a warning sign when that happens, that that's real. And this is never a good time to poke a hijackal, but that would be the worst time, when those kinds of eyes are looking at you, longing for you to be adoring of them while they're behaving their worst. And that's really ugly and really true. So the insight into who you may be in relationship with becomes very important when you start to look at the way that they use their eyes to communicate, and to know that, all right, I get it. You've gone into a place of hate. You've gone into a place of revenge. You've gone into a place of feeling as though you are not getting what you need and want. And at those moments, they plan to take it out on you in some way. the silent treatment, their rage, their anger showing up, their walking out and abandoning you, which many times can be a blessing, just like the silent treatment can be a blessing. Whew, I don't have to worry about it anymore. But if you have been cowed, if you have been destroyed by this over time, then you are trauma bonded and you start wondering where they are and you start getting agitated and you start pleading with them to come home. All of those things are not going to work well for you. So I'm not going to go down those rabbit holes right now. I just want to stick with the eyes so that you understand that what you're seeing is actually occurring and that you can know that those different ways that the eyes work, those are not times to have deep conversations. They're not times to ask them what's wrong, not times to ask them what they're thinking or feeling. None of that. Those are times to just get busy doing something else, move away, make the cup of tea, do whatever it is that you do to distract in your home where you have a logical reason to go and do something else that will not make the hijackal feel left or abandoned, but you maybe can do something that makes sense. I hope that's good for you to hear these things because this is the way they try to control you. And you've seen it. You've seen it in enough movies, and it seems like there are more and more things being made on television and movies and Netflix and Hulu and all those places that are making movies. Seems there is a great rise in the number of movies that have to do with covert and overt narcissism and hijackals in general. Sometimes I wonder if they're making those movies so that people will feel the recognition, but it certainly seems to be a lot more of those movies coming out, and they may be very triggering for you, so I don't suggest that you spend much time with them. Anyway, I hope it's been helpful to you to hear about these different kinds of eyes and that you will now know that it's real and those moments are not moments to engage the hijackal in a conversation beyond what would you like for dinner and will you pass the salt. I'm Dr. Rhoberta Shaler. I'm glad you spent this time with me. And come on over, listen more frequently, Save Your Sanity podcast.com. If I can help you, go to beaclient.com and let's talk. If you'd like to become a member of my emerging empowered community, go to joinintoday.com. And until we speak again, take very good care of yourself because you're precious and you matter. Talk soon. Hello, everybody. Look at all these comments. It's wonderful. Hello, Ellen from Los Angeles. So, Ellen says, he's my ancestry cousin. I haven't seen him face to face for 66 years. He's a hijackal. Ooh. Sky, hi. Haven't seen you comment before. Very scary look they get when you set a firm boundary. It's like they turn. Yes, yes, it is. You know, it's that sort of the Three Stooges thing. Slowly they turn, you know. Yes, you could just see their mind turn and that look comes across their face, can't you? And setting a boundary, something that they don't want any part of, and it's so important to set small boundaries, not huge boundaries in the beginning, but you set even a small boundary and they look at you as like, how dare you? Who do you think you are? Very important. Sky also says they never give a full teeth smile, which is given freely by empaths. Not to you after you've been with them for a while, but I'm sure they use the full teeth smile and the come on and the come hither and the I am safe and I like you. Come with me. They're good at that. Mark, hello. Lots of nice new people tonight I haven't seen in the comments. Mark says puppet eyes. They don't blink much. Well, yeah, that's true too, because they have when they're getting into those places of dark eyes and things, the dead eyes, it's very reptilian and they don't blink all that often because they are in a different state. So you're absolutely right. No, not a different state in the United States, a different emotional state, a different mental state, a different psychological state. And yes, this guy says, "How about the smirk they get when they watch you unravel?" Yeah, I think I addressed that probably a little later than you had written that comment. I don't see the comments when they come in. So yes, that smirk is the hijackal smirk on steroids. I've said it before too in one of the episodes that I did last year sometime. I had a facial code recognition expert on, and he told me, David is his name, he told us that that smirk is a combination of the signs for anger and disdain, which when you put them together, that smirk equals contempt. They have contempt for you, you lowly worm. How dare you? I am so superior to you. I'm smarter than you, and I have your number. And besides that, I'll hurt you. So the smirk comes out for sure. And Mark says, yes, and thin lips. Sometimes they certainly become thinner when they do the smirk. That's for sure. So a Facebook user says accusations that are not true. Oh, yes, don't they love that? They'll accuse you of anything to get a rise out of you. They'll accuse you of anything to have power over you. Even something you're incapable of doing, they will accuse you of. And just so they can argue with you. Antonio, hello. Question. Hi, doctor. Is it better for me to schedule an appointment myself or should I bring the other person first? I was told I would an advantage if I do it myself first. What usually happens in those cases, Antonio, is I suggest that you use the new client 1 hour offer at beaclient.com yourself. And then you make a second new client offer in the name of the other person, and then the two of you come together. That way I get a firmer understanding, and then we can proceed from there. Sky says they are pleased when you're unhappy. Oh, yes, aren't they? Because they like to be the source of your feelings. And if they can make you unhappy, that's great. Now, when they want you to do something for them, they like to do something that makes you happy, that makes you compliant, that makes you available and feeling safe and vulnerable. And then when they want to be mean and nasty, they like to drill down, and they get very happy when they've had that power over you too. And that's more likely to happen than the times when they want to make you happy, because they know what to do with unhappiness. I am the author of your unhappiness, yay me. That's a hijackal kind of thing to do. So you're right. Annie said they're takers. Oh, yes, they are. They are takers on steroids. They are overtakers. And you know what? The worst thing is that they often attract people and are attracted to people who are overgivers. So it becomes very important for you to calibrate. Am I going the extra mile and doing all kinds of things for this other person, and there is nothing coming back or little bits coming back? And I have to calibrate that, because if that's the case, they are trying to overtake and they want me to overgive, and they cajole you into it, and they shame you into it, and they blame you into it. And you are giving everything that you have, and pretty soon you're emotionally exhausted and they want more. So you're absolutely right, Annie. Gypsy said, I appreciate the validation. I thought I was crazy. You are not crazy. You are astute. You are seeing what is so. Believe it. It's real. She said, went home for a family event and everyone at the table had dead dark eyes. It scared me. I bet just reading that is kind of scary. How many times do you read cold, chilling thrillers? I don't read them, but you certainly read it in the description of a movie or something. And somehow that's supposed to be attractive, that you want to go and watch people who are having tendencies of meanness and mental disorder and mental illness, and you want to see all of that? Not sure about that phenomenon by any stretch, but yes, I mean, just to read that, it went home for a family event and everybody at the table had dead dark eyes. It would scare anybody, I think, Gypsy. And he said, "My ex's eyes went from dark green to glowing green." Oh, that's scary as well because of that piercing look, I guess. The intensity just happened because they almost push their eyes out of their head to be looking at you that intensely. So I could see how that would really happen. This guy says they never smile when they get their pictures taken. Well, it depends if they're getting their picture taken by whom and for what. Many times they will smile because the narrative they want to portray is happy families. So they will smile for the camera. But I know what you're getting at is they have fake smiles. And oh, there Annie says that they have fake smiles. You can see it's not genuine. Yeah, it's a posed smile. It's this is this is what's supposed to happen kind of smile. And so yes, it can be very fake. But they do like a narrative. I've had a client who very, very disordered person to whom my client is married, and that person who is disordered does everything for the narrative, takes pictures of the baby, the family, takes them, makes everybody change their clothes, takes all the pictures in a matter of 15 minutes. And that's all the time that they spend with the family. But then they want to show the pictures to kind of give the idea how often they're with the family. It is really, really nasty stuff. Really nasty. And you're right about the smiling. It'll be a fake smile. And you can see those smiles because smiles come out of your eyes. Genuine smiles come out of your eyes. And the eyes and the mouth don't match. And that's when we see what we call a fake smile. There's just no connection. There's no emotional connection going on. And you could feel it, and believe it. Believe it when you see it. And Gypsy said I could see shifting in the face too. Yes, the muscles change. The color in the face changes. I have clients all over the world and I see them by Zoom. And I have to do that because I'm watching all of the muscles in their faces and the tension in their jaws and the changes in their eyes and the changes in the color of their faces. I'm calibrating that all the time. So good for you for seeing that not only have they fake smiles, but they've got shifting muscle tension. You can see when they're thinking. You can see when they're agitated. Get very good at observing faces. You have to be careful, of course, because they don't like to be stared at. I know that that's the case. And Nicole, hi. Is that why their eyes are always on something else? I'm not sure when you said that and what I was talking about, because you said, is that why their eyes are always on something else? But they are, their eyes are always darting. Their eyes are always surveilling. Their eyes are always looking for an advantage. So their eyes are everywhere. Because remember, a hijackal honestly believes within themselves, there's no validation of this, but within themselves, they believe they're the smartest person in every room, in every conversation. And so they are going to be observing everything for their advantage. That's what they're doing. Hello, Stanley. Good evening from Glendale. Well, not so far away from me. I'm in sunny San Diego, where we just had a thunderstorm and a cloudburst, which was kind of exciting. Facebook user says you cannot disagree with them. No, they're looking for validation. So when you challenge them or you disagree with them, not going to happen. They're not happy about that at all. Your job is to make them right. Your job is to validate how wonderful they are. And that's awful. Now, I'll just remind everybody, there's all these wonderful comments, but I'll just remind you, my practice is that after 30 seconds of no new comments, I disappear. So I'll just remind you that one time right now. It takes about 20 seconds for your comment to get to me after you hit send. So if you're sitting on a question or you want to make a comment, make it now so that that doesn't happen. Okay. Um, Nicole says, yes, they always have their eyes on something else. Yeah, they're always looking that way. Excuse me. Sky says, the eyes are meant to cast a spell on you like the vampire movies. Well, there is some similarity in that. I'm going to have power over you is the whole idea. So, yes, their eyes are always saying, you will do my bidding. You will do my bidding. Ugly. Mary, hi. I am sharing your YouTube channel, Alpha Male Strategies. You will be stunned. It's nasty. Well, I don't think I'll be stunned. I have been doing this for so long. Um, it's it's so important for everybody to not expect them to be different. That's what's stunning, I think, Mary, is that once you understand the hijackal mentality, once you understand the way that narcissistic people or antisocial people or borderline people, at sometimes borderline people think and how they express it, then we just simply understand that that's who they are. That's what they're up to. That's how they feel they need to do to survive in the world. And it is nasty. You're absolutely right. And alpha males will, in fact, use those strategies. And even if they're not intrinsically narcissistic or antisocial, there actually are some associations, there are some organizations, there are some seminar systems that teach men to be that way and suggest that they should be. We have to be careful about those as well, Mary. So I'm sure that you know about that as you're writing that. So I'm glad you're here. You're welcome, Gypsy says thanks. Star, hello. Wow, these people are very abusive, dysfunctional beings. Thank you for the insight. Yes, that's about sums it up. They're abusive and dysfunctional. And they're good people to move emotionally away from, but they're very difficult because if you're in a romantic relationship, you may become trauma bonded. And how that actually happens is that the hijack is the author of your pain, but they have you so isolated that they have trained you that after they've dished out all their nasties, then you're crying and you need something, and then they become your comforter. They come, they take you back, and they, even though you're such a mess, I still care about you. And you get trauma bonded to that. They hurt you and then they console you. And so that bond becomes very strong. And that's why it's sometimes difficult to leave one. And don't be afraid or ashamed if you've left a few times and gone back again because of the trauma bond. If that's happened to you, definitely get help, whoever you may be. Definitely get help to leave efficiently, effectively, and permanently. I walk with my clients through that process so frequently because you don't walk out in a huff. You just don't walk out in a huff. That won't work for you. It has to be strategic if you want it to stick. Leni, wow, we got all kinds of wonderful new people tonight. I'm delighted. Thanks for being here. Leni said, when I saw his black eyes, it was always a shock out of the blue and not related to anything going on at the time. It would definitely throw me off balance that something bad happened after. Yes, because what's really going on is their fear is already mounting before you even do much. Something could have happened. They could have had a thought. Something could have happened outside of the home. Something could have happened at work. They could have heard something on the news they didn't like, and they're brewing and brooding already. And then you come into the picture and you become the unhappy recipient of it all. So you're absolutely right. You may have been broadsided by somebody's anger or by somebody's nasty eyes, and you know that nothing good is going to happen after this. So it really is a big warning to lay low, not to cower, but to lay low and just, not going to engage much. I'm just going to be civil, genuine, authentic, and still. And I know that's a tall order when you're feeling fearful because they are intimidating. That's what they want to be, and they do a good job of it. They really do. Ocasio. Okay, more. They seem to form an opinion of you, and that opinion is unchangeable. Can you speak to that? Yes, well, their opinion is long before you. Their opinion of themselves, which all that matters to them, is that they're the smartest person in the room. They're superior to everybody. The world is full of people who are useless, worthless, dumb, and they can suck anybody into their web that they want to, they believe. And so long before they ever met you, they had already decided that people in general were to be used. That's what they're for, because people are stupid. And so I can use you and I can show that I am superior to you. And then you're absolutely right, Ocasio, that after that, they make a decision that you particularly are among the least useful. And so they use you and abuse you, and they it's not about you at all. So, they do form an opinion of you, but it's sort of a collective you. Everybody is useless and they are wonderful. Everybody is dumb and they are smart. Everybody deserves nothing, they deserve everything. So they have that opinion already, and then they just tweak it and refine it to put it with your name. And they're not going to change those basic assumptions that keep them feeling like they have some power in the world, which is really all they're looking for, is that power over other people, other circumstances. That's all they want. They're like the engine that needs to be fed all the time. So Rosa, oh, this is great. I love to see all these new people, and I'm glad that you're here. Invite your friends. I do this every Monday evening at 7 o'clock Pacific time. And be sure to subscribe if you're on YouTube, or like the page if you're on Facebook. That way you will get notified when the topic comes up every Monday afternoon, so that you'll know what I'm going to talk about. So subscribe or like the page. Rosa says, I've been with my husband for 25 years, and only at the end of the relationship did I notice he's always scanning a room. Also, when he choked me, I felt nothing but evil, and his eyes turned black. Yeah. Yeah, that's a particular place where you remember how black those eyes are, isn't it? Where you just see the scorn, you see the vengeful look, the revengeful look, that I will show you that you are worthless and nothing, and I can take you out. And that's very scary. And I hope everybody listening, when that happens, you call the police and you press charges. You don't make excuses. You don't worry about their reputation or their job or a darn thing. You call the police and you press charges. If anybody threatens you, chokes you, hurts you, touches you in a way that is not friendly, do it. Yeah, they will threaten you. They will threaten all kinds of things, and some of them carry it out. But if you don't call the police the first time, preferably, but the next time for sure, then you are not standing up for yourself. And when something eventually happens and you want to be free of this person, you have no police record for them. So it's very important. I'm sorry for that little rant, but I just want to put that in there because it is super important. And yes, they're always scanning the room. Well, for two reasons. They're on guard all the time, but also they're looking for other people they could groom. But that's another whole rabbit hole to go down. Okay. So, yes, Rose is getting lots of support here. That's great. Um, she says, I'm healing. He left me for the side chick. Yay! Bye bye. Yes, let him be someone else's concern. And I know it's not something to make light of, but it really is good when they move on. It's good when you move on too, because there's nothing that's going to radically change if you really are with a hijackal. And that is imperative to know. because you're hooked on hope that they will change. But the actual fact is, it's highly unlikely that they will. Many people come and they bring their significant other with them to couples work, and quickly you can see what the actual patterns are. And if you're thinking of a therapeutic approach, make sure that you go to someone who is trained as I am in narcissistic abuse and wounding and emotional abuse and recovery, because we are trained to see the disordered behavior is not something that everybody sees because it's not what they're looking for. So very important. Okazi said, yes, I was so grateful when he left me. Yeah, that's a wonderful moment. If you are centered enough to realize, thank heaven, that happened. But if you're trauma bonded, and for those people who have resonated with what I said earlier, it's very difficult to get away because of the trauma bond. When you're left, you don't celebrate, you get concerned and feel abandoned. That's natural and normal. But if you have worked it through, and as Ocasio said, that you can celebrate when they leave, that's a much healthier place to get to. So I'm so glad that you joined me this evening. I hope you will come back. I hope you will, as I said, subscribe on YouTube and hit the notification button so you'll be sure to know what's coming down, and like the page on Facebook. And I will talk with you soon. Take good care. And in the meantime, as you're taking that very good care, remember you're precious and you matter. Talk soon.